Okay, so just to cover this again, I have the toolbar on my left from the last logo, and this is the selection. I'll just zoom in a little bit, just so you can see it. The spacebar moves that part over. And keep in mind you have the magnifying glass when you have the plus or minus section. Its default is a plus sign. Minus just drops it down. And here's where I was working on all the logos, so I just keep it on that layer. It's two layers, the scanned image behind it and the locked image. I have rulers up here, so if you need rulers to help you with, rulers are show or hide with Command R. And they just give me a guide to come down. So sometimes I like to just place them down here, top and bottom, just to give me a little bit of guidance there. And the M will make it symmetrical as we go through it. And I'll pick the one on the right and match it up to the one on the left. The way that you're going to try to do this, I'll try to do it as easy as possible for some of the beginning, is to just go ahead and use the pen tool to start off with this. So right up at the top, I'm just going to click a point. It's going to be blue. So just to show you, there's a shape. Okay, filled shape with the stroke black, and just deleting it. So I'm just going to click the point right there and then zoom in real close so you can see what I'm thinking of. So I'll come over to the edge here and to this point here. Now I need to come down this direction, so I'm just going to hit Command with the minus sign just to lower it down. And since I put a ruler guide in the middle, I'm going to use that as my center and just space bar just to scooch it up a little bit and go ahead and click that point. Now the fill might get in my way, so I'm just going to turn it off for now. Come back up. Since the guide is there, Shift key keeps it very vertical, and then just come back here and click that piece. So now I can go ahead and double click on the fill button, and that gives me that section. So when you look at this, here's some opportunities to look at the design. I'm just going to flip a copy of this over. So in the toolbar, remember you have the options down here at the bottom and the sub-menu at the top here. And I'm just clicking on Advanced to make sure I have all my tools. So you just have to kind of look down here. There's one that's rotation, usually is the default. There's two of these. If you click on this little triangle at the end, it'll leave that window open of those two icons. And you can always get rid of them, but if they get onto your screen, you can use them. And the reflect tool is there. So again, I'm just going to hold the option to click and deselect everything. And that allows me to make sure that I have no other extraneous points hidden there. So it'll make it a little bit easier. So I just want to flip this over. So what you do is I have the reflect tool, and I'm going to hold the command key to turn to the arrow just to select it. And let go of the command, it turns back into the reflect tool. And either on the edge of this graphic or the line, whichever first, I'm just going to click on it. And it's defaulted already into a vertical flipping. You have all these options in here. Preview is good because it'll show it to you. And I'm going to copy it. So now I have this V shape here. And if you recall, there's a couple ways to combine these. I'm going to Shift key it to select it, or just draw a selection, marquee selection around it. And this time I'll just use the shape builder. And again, if you come over here, Cap Locks is going to give me the key icon, and I'm just going to click and drag and just connect both of them. And I'm just going to move it over so you can see it. There it is right there. And that builds that up. So these other parts, not too difficult for the M. A lot of ways you can do it. I'm just going to take the ellipse tool and go to the rectangle tool and maybe stop down at the guide and just draw a shape that overlaps itself right there, like so. And again, just select the both of them and just trying to get you familiar with them. Here's all my palettes. If I don't have it open, Pathfinder will pop open here, and it'll let me go to the first top left one, which is Union, and it makes that shape. So you can see this one is off, and if you wanted to follow that, I'm going to keep it symmetrical, so it's a flip. But if you wanted to, you could just take the direct selection tool and highlight all these points up at the top and just move them over. And you see how it jumps itself across there. But I'm not going to do that. I just shown it to you. I just want this vertical piece. So again, I'm going to take a rectangle tool and just come down. It's not perfectly straight in the sketch, but the computer is showing that. So I'll just go ahead and make that piece like that and just scooch it over a little bit. So I'll follow along with that one. And the pen tool looks like a hook. I'll just click one point, and then when I zoom in, you'll notice that the center point is in the center of the page. So it makes it pretty good. I'm going to come down here where it touches that guide. And I could, since I know I'm going to have to adjust it a little bit, I'll just come up here and click up here because I want a curve. I'll take the fill off because it's right now it's in the way. And I'm just going to estimate that curve. Here's the handle. Remember, the handle's coming up. And I'll try something. I'll just click on there to end it, see what it looks like. So that's this little extended piece. And if I take the direct selection tool, these little circles are called widgets, corner widgets. Let me just rotate them all. If I just want one of them, and just select one of them. So it's much easier to make the computer do the curve than me trying to draw it. So I'm just kind of using the two pieces. And watch what happens. I'll just select both of these and go ahead and use Pathfinder or the Shape Builder tool. And you'll see that there's a lot of, there was a gap in the middle of this. So let's take a look because it gets a little tricky. See that part that's over here is on top of it. So there's nothing really highlighting it there, so it's not really overlapped yet. So it might take a little monkeying around here, but let's take a look what we got. Yeah. So what we'll do, I'm going to just, before I pathfind that together, I'm just going to take that point and just bump it over so it's inside of the rectangle, and I'll do the same with this guy. So now they're both in there. It'll take a little adjusting, but that's fine. There's the Pathfinder. So when you look at this, you can see there's a couple extra selectments here. So I'm going to take the pen tool and delete anchor point. So I'm going to come down to here and just click on those, and it'll automatically take that up and straighten that up. This one, it's not as curved as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to click on it and set that curve in there. So that makes it much nicer. So couple tricks there just to show it to you. And then now this M, I'm just going to hold the Shift key down and move it over. And I can also use the arrow keys on the keyboard to get it just where I think I want it. And then just go ahead and marquee select both of them in Pathfinder. And now it's all one piece. And if I flip it back, there's that section. Okay. So not too bad, pretty symmetrical. If I need any changes, I can come back in here, say I wanted this little serif type piece to be further out. Just select that anchor point. I'm just going to use the arrow keys to move that over if I wanted to. And again, you have, if I zoom into it, I'll get a little closer, I can make that little round if I wanted to. So you have these options to blend into that section. Okay. So I'll double click, there's the logo. And now, looking at this letter for the P. Now the only thing that I would have done probably is if this vertical, the M, is going to be the same as the P, then I could have duplicated it, or just started here at least, you know, just a little segment, and set it over here. And the point being is, do I want that to be the same thickness? So I'll just draw this. Now this is going to scroll the window. If I just hold the mouse and I'm that close up to the image, it'll just scroll forward, automatic scrolling there. Okay, I think I did it. Yep, so there's the piece. I have to look at that and say, well, do I like that? It's not too bad. And the same with any other pieces. So you're trying to look at some consistency, but now that I look at it, this one's thin and this one's thick, so I could get away with, it's not as thick, so I'll swap it over and just condense it a bit. So those are some of the artistic decisions you and or the designer can make. So now I have the pen tool again. This top piece will be relatively easy. So I just click right where the part meets the letter M. And I'm going to come out here. There's a straight line segment. I'm going to hit the default for the coloring. And this is the curve, so I'm going to go to the midpoint. Make that curve, hold the shift key down, and it makes the handles go perpendicular. And I can change that in a second. Turn that fill off for a minute. And come all the way to here and just drag this handle out to get that curve. And this is a curve point. All I have to do to make it a corner point is just click right there. And now I'm set to go this way. So I just click and drag the handles. Shift key again just to keep it straight. And now, look, it almost draws it for you. Sometimes you get lucky on that part. And then just close that up. Shift X does the same. The keystroke, again, is just by leaving the mouse, it'll leave like a little gray post-it note to place that on there. So that's that section. And then coming down here, I might make it symmetrical. I'll show you how to do that part here. So let's scroll down to the bottom here. Like I said, sometimes I set a point just to, so I can zoom into the middle of it, demonstrating it, and come down here. So a little bit of a curve. Maybe I'll go right to the point there, and just shift key. So there it is. Swap it so I can just see the stroke. Take the stroke. I might curve this one a bit. There's the point for that little curved widget right there. And take the reflect tool, and right on the edge of this path, because I started it on the other one, just option and click. And that's a good example. I only had one point selected. So you might have heard me, I say I like to deselect everything and then select it again just to make sure that doesn't happen. But if it happens, just undo it. That's the flip part of it. I just hit copy. And while this is there, I'll just move that across. So there that is. Now the thing is, in the stroke palette up here, I'll move it out on the window so you can see it, is that you have a lot of options in here that we haven't really had a chance to talk about. But here we go, align the stroke. So let's zoom in so you can really see. You can see that the stroke is in the middle. On either side of it, it's straddling it. And that's what a line stroke is here. And you have three options. It's either on the inside, outside, or directly down the center. So with that, knowing that, I'm just going to click on that and put it on the inside. And you can see it tightens up nicely. So I can do the same with this guy too. Tighten that up. And if I decide to fill it, it fills that part just by clicking the fill in the stroke. So that gives me that selection. Now I don't necessarily need to make that a shape, but I can just by selecting these pieces and making it one shape. So that makes it easier to color as one image. If they were separate and I wanted to color it, then I have to go through it and try to color everything. So this way, that gives me that part. So just to show it to you, I'm just double clicking the color. There's other ways to get colors into this, but just showing it to you. So now if I select all of it and click there, it takes the last color that you had selected. And this can also be made into one shape, as this one is already too. And that's really all there is to it. Now, as you get this ready to turn in as your sample, just go and take a look. I'll just show you. I have a lot of windows open, and I'll demonstrate how to organize all this so you have a little bit easier palette to work with. That just hides the scan layer. And the command, just so you can see this, view guides has a keystroke, command semicolon. and the tab key and the rulers. So the rulers are going to hide Command R, and the tab key will hide